Out here, our whole goal, as I'm sure is true for all districts, is to go ahead and raise the rigor in our classrooms so our kids are ready for college or careers upon graduation. When we started thinking about how we're going to approach that, we noticed that some of our teachers were applying for grants to bring technology into their classroom. And one thing we had two teachers do was apply for iPads, and they won those grants. And before we know it, we had 60 iPads on our campus. We realized once we had those iPads in our classrooms that we could leverage that, and by careful balancing of budget and looking at our infrastructure, we could increase that to hopefully get iPads in every kid's hands. The first thing we had to do was get our teachers comfortable with technology. So what we decided to do was put iPads in every teacher's hands for a year and let them play with them. Let them see what they could do in the classroom. They saw how they could definitely help on the productivity side as far as classroom management and grades. But more importantly, they began to experiment with them on how they can be used in the curriculum. And so we had each teacher identify various applications they could download on the iPads that could be used in their classroom, some on a daily basis and some as needed. We wanted to make sure the teachers were comfortable with the iPads and they could actually identify apps that could be used in the classroom. We didn't want to buy iPads just to have the latest toy or the latest technology on our campus. We wanted to make sure it's going to be useful. So after a year of use, the teachers easily identified applications that they thought would be great for their classroom that could raise their rigor. And what was even more amazing was that there tended to be 4 or 5 apps that every teacher picked. So we had this core set of applications that every teacher wanted, and we had individual apps that each teacher wanted that was suitable for their particular subject. So once we knew the iPads could be used in an appropriate way in the classrooms, we decided to figure out how we're going to do it. So we sat down and looked at our infrastructure to make sure we can handle it. In our campus, we currently had about 15 laptops per classroom. We had cows, and that worked pretty well. I also looked at some experiences we had in the past where I helped initiate a laptop initiative where every kid had a laptop at my previous school. And we sat down and looked at the budget. And what we were able to do was identify money through Title I that were going to allow us to go ahead and purchase iPads for every single kid. Now, it wasn't easy, and difficult choices had to be made. So by moving things around and setting aside certain things and delaying purchases in other areas, we were able to locate an appropriate amount of funds within the Title I budget to purchase iPads for every kid. The iPads were delivered in May before the next school year. And what we did throughout the whole summer was take our time and load the iPads with applications. We didn't want to load the iPads with every single application because some apps were going to be specifically used at the senior level and some were going to be used specifically at the freshman level. And over the space of basically 6 weeks, Monday through Friday, 9 to 4, we had teachers here working in a portable, loading apps on the iPads. Now the first thing we had to do, of course, was purchase the license for the iPads. And Apple has this great program where you can buy groups of applications for schools. You don't buy them through the iTunes store, you go through the education store. And through that mechanism, you're able to purchase huge volumes of applications. We purchased about $18,000 worth of apps for our iPads to get started that first year. The teachers requested, however, $40,000. So we had to sit down and cross off which ones we could afford and which ones we couldn't, and which ones would be really important for that first year. So once we decided that, we were ready to start rolling them out when the school year started. We didn't roll them out, though, the first month of school. That first month of school, we spent time educating parents and students about the responsibility of having a $500 device given to them for free. We talked about the care of the other iPad. We talked about our district's policy on how you can use them for the internet and how you can use them at home. We gave them options for insurance, and we advised them to purchase insurance, though that was not a requirement. We also talked about how they were going to keep this device 24/7 for the entire school year. Even more, our plan is to have them turn them in the summer, empty out the previous year's apps, load them with the next year's apps, and give the exact same iPad back to that student. Now, this is going to take a lot of work in the summer as far as logistics and keeping track of which iPad belongs to which kid, but I think in the long run it's going to be worth it because it's going to put responsibility upon the kid to care for the device. One thing that we realized is that when you give a device to a child and they haven't paid for it or really technically not done anything to earn it other than attend your school, sometimes they can tend to be less responsible for it. There's no personal buy-in to caring for the machine. So knowing they're going to keep this device for all 4 years, now they have a personal investment. Every kid wants to have a nice new iPad that looks nice and shiny. They don't want one with a cracked screen or a nick here or a chip there. So knowing that, our students are going to take care of the device much more carefully and really take care to make sure that it's going to be used properly for the next 4 years. So that's what we told our students. For the next month, we practiced about how to care for them, clean them, how to charge them, where they could go to buy insurance, different covers they could buy for them. We gave them a cover, but a lot of kids want to have their own purple or blue or whatever cover they want to buy, and we discussed places they could go with the understanding that everything we gave them, including the original cover, they would have to return at the end of the school year. And then when it came back in August, they would get the same device and the same cover back. So in September, we rolled out the iPads. We started off with the seniors, and then the juniors, and so forth down through the freshmen. It took us approximately 1 week to get the iPads into their hands. Now, every kid got an iPad only upon signing a contract. The contract stated that they would assume full financial responsibility should they lose the iPad or damage it, and the contract was signed both by parents and the student. The parents signed the contracts at a parent meeting. The students signed the contract when they received the iPad during school. Now, in a few months, we're going to have to pick them up. And our plan is to go through English classes. We're going to go through English, have every kid turn the iPad in. They're going to have, obviously, the name will be attached to their iPad. They will be stored in various portables, one for freshmen, one for sophomores, one for juniors, one for seniors. That way, there's no chance of them being mixed up. And if they are, we already have a database where the serial number of each iPad is assigned to a kid. So we can easily track down which iPad belongs to which kid. During the summer, we have our CTC, and we have some students that will be doing community service. They'll be coming in and cleaning every iPad, wiping every screen down, cleaning every cover to the best of their ability. And then we'll start the process all over again that we did last summer. We'll come in, erase each iPad, and upload all the new apps for the coming year. And now we know what we're doing. We don't expect it to take 6 weeks. We do expect it to take about 4. And once that's done, they'll be ready to roll out in August. And this time we will roll them out much sooner than we did last year so the kids can have this great tool and use them for their classes immediately. We want our kids to be successful. We want them to be ready for college and the careers upon graduation. But we can't expect it to happen on its own. And it's not going to happen overnight. We need to take chances like this. We need to have teachers, we need to have administration at both the schools and central office that are willing to take the risk and provide safety nets for teachers to take that risk, to feel comfortable enough to try new things with our kids. Our kids are willing. They want to try new things. They want to go out there and be the new discoverers information. We need to give them that opportunity to do that. And with things like iPads and tablets and other technology out there, we can do that.